The Last of Us Season 2 started off with a pretty good set of ratings in the premiere, but a few golf swings later, and the viewership has ended up in the bunker. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. Here today to talk about The Last of Us Season 2 viewership, how things are currently going, and is Killing Joel going to be the downfall of this series? I think the answer to that is yes. We obviously seen what happened with the game. A lot of people were not impressed, and of course you're going to get some people that love the woke garbage that's fed to them in games and movies, and they're going to be all for this. You know, they're going to be like, oh, you killed off the old, I get it, Joel's not really white in the series, but they're going to be like, oh, you killed off the old man, and now the young lesbian gets to go and be heroic. You know, this strong, powerful woman, she doesn't need a man no longer. She can go and she can live on her own. She can survive on her own. She can kill all these other grown men and all these other infected on her own, and she can do it with her lesbian girlfriend. So a lot of people will be enjoying this because the man's out the picture, and now the ladies can take over and they can have their fun because, like Ellie said in episode 1 of season 2, do you need the men to do it? No, they don't want the men. They want rid of all the men. But most people don't, okay? Most people loved The Last of Us, the first game. They loved it for what it was. You Joel, this father-like figure to Ellie, and a lot of people can relate to that. Joel sacrificing his life at times potentially to keep Ellie alive, doing whatever it would take. They had that father-daughter bond. Most people can relate to that. Most people can respect that. Most people want to see things like that. But obviously, season 2, Joel's got to die, and we've got to push this lesbian relationship throughout the entire season, and let's not pretend that's done by chance. But Ellie's no, let's not pretend that this is by some sort of fluke. Look at season 1. They wasted 2 episodes, 2 filler episodes in a 9-episode season. They completely screwed the pacing of the show, and they just destroyed an opportunity to further, show the connection and show the story of Joel and Ellie. And they did that to bring in episode 3 and episode 7. Obviously, one was a gay relationship episode and the other one was a lesbian relationship episode, and people can argue, well, you're just saying that because it wasn't a straight couple. The problem is, if it was a straight couple, they wouldn't get an entire episode dedicated to them. The only reason you got episode 7 and you got episode 3 was because it was lesbian couples, LGBT couples, gay couples. If it wasn't, do you think they would really dedicate an entire episode to like Joel and Tess and their relationship from a flashback or whatnot? Absolutely not. So yeah, the only reason we got those episodes were because they were LGBT and they want to promote that shit, and you know what? They completely ruined the pacing of the show. We needed to see Joel and Ellie's characters and their relationship form more, and we just didn't get to see it. Plus, not to mention that when Ellie and Joel arrive at Bill's place, that's like one of the best parts of the game. That's when Ellie really steps up and Joel begins to see that, she's actually valuable and she can hold her own. I think that's when Joel begins to somewhat respect and trust Ellie. Plus, the dialogue with Ellie and Bill was really interesting. It was really fun. What we got in the game was far superior to what they did in the show. But anyway, let's talk about the numbers. So, for Future Days, which was Season 2, Episode 1, it got 0.938 million in linear viewage. So, that would be viewing at the exact time it was live. That is the HBO number. That is the television number. So, 0.938 million, just 938,000 to be exact. That's how many people watched it live during its airing. So live concurrent viewers was 938,000. We go to Through the Valley a week later, which was episode 2 of season 2, and this only got 0.643, which is 643,000 viewers. That's a big drop off. We're talking 295,000 viewers dropped off between episode 1 and episode 2. So almost 300k, and if you work it out, it's close to a third. It's almost a third of the ratings that they've lost between the premiere and the second episode. Now, that is the linear viewing numbers, so that is people that watched it live while it aired. That is concurrent viewers, and that's not taking into account the HBO streaming numbers on Max and people that watched it abroad, internationally. And we've seen that they did a lot of bragging about how the premiere for season 2 did really well, but they haven't mentioned the numbers since then, which kind of makes me believe the numbers have tanked. We only have the TV numbers, the TV ratings. We don't have any other streaming numbers available right now, which, you know, they should be available for episode 2, but they're not releasing them. So, do I think people will tune out? Yeah. You look at the games, like what? In comparison to I think the second game was like 66%. It was almost like 2/3 of the way. It was like a third of the people that bought, only a third of the people bought the second game compared to the first game. I think the first game sold like 30 million copies, and the second game only sold like 10. So people didn't want the... and if you look at the reviews, pretty much nobody's got a bad word to say about the first game, whereas the second game's about as mixed as you can possibly go. And that's with the people that bought it. Most people didn't even buy it. Most people didn't even play it. So, like, people didn't like the direction they went down. People preferred Joel. People preferred a man in the main role in this, like, father-daughter relationship. And now they've just replaced that with two lesbians that are going to make out every episode. It's just girl power into it at the end of the day. Everything is so, like... Feminism runs wild on this show. Wokeism runs wild on this show. It's very difficult to enjoy. And even in season 2, we're seeing a lot of hints where they basically just bash the men and demasculate the men. We've seen it with Joel, even seen a psychiatrist. What kind of bullshit's this? There was no psychiatrist in the game. Just fucking garbage. Trying to make Joel look as weak as possible. I think they were trying to do that so when he was killed off, people wouldn't care. They're trying to make you think this guy's a bitch, and you know what? TV series Joel is a bitch. No offense to him. I love the game character Joel, but this TV series Joel is just he's a pussy. Let's be honest. You look at video games, and this is how you can tell. If somebody says to you who's the most badass video game character of all time, Joel Miller's name would be up there. People would think of Joel Miller. If you ask people who is the biggest badass in TV series history, nobody's thinking of Joel Miller. And that explains it all. Anyway, guys, that's it. The numbers are down. I expect they will get worse. Who knows what they'll be by the time we get to the season finale. But that's it, guys. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.